Okay, and welcome in to the SippinOnYac Fantasy Football Podcast, as always, with Porter and Adrian. And making his Major League debut, coming onto the other side of the camera, we got Mikey Mitchell.
Thank you for having me, boys.
Dude,
Let's
happy to
go.
have you. The very anticipated.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Long awaited.
Let's start with a cheers. Cheers,
Cheers,
boys.
It's to the first week of the 2021-22 NFL season.
That's
Hell
a
yeah.
big,
Finally made
big
it.
week.
We're literally the biggest season
Yeah,
ever. We've already got the cats fucking with us in the room here, dear God. But okay, so this episode is titled Overreaction Season because that is just naturally what happens in week one. And that skews negatively and positively. And you got to kind of weed through like what you can really take from week one. We had some takes on here that were very strong. We had some takes that were blown up in our faces. Steve actually is so embarrassed by his Gronkowski take that he is no longer on the podcast.
He's opted himself out.
And Adrian, who is here, then I am going to give you props. You were the one at the table who gave the people confidence to put Devontae Smith in their lineup week one. And that worked out for you.
Not only that, but draft him where, where
Yes.
you got drafted as.
I wish Kyle Pitts was the same, but well, he'll be there.
Oh, and he'll
Eventually.
be on Overreaction episode for sure.
Yes.
But so I just wanted to, welcome everybody into week two, where we were right that Darren Waller is the tight end two, but to Rob Gronkowski as the tight end one.
Number one.
We're also where the Houston Texans sit alone atop the AFC South. And then we were meeting up before, and Mikey actually brought it to our attention that we have two divisions that are undefeated, both
Yep.
West Coast.
West Coast.
The
Yeah.
NFC. We're looking good.
Yeah, Jesus, it's going to be a bloodbath in the NFC West. And then the NFC North is winless, and the team who looked the worst was the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah.
So I guess let's start with them.
I was going to say usually that division's like a 3 playoff team, so I wouldn't hit the panic button too much. But we can break it down. Rodgers had his worst game ever.
Dude, you were watching the game having Rodgers,
Yeah.
and you said to me, you're like, he doesn't have 1 point yet.
At one point, I looked down and he had like 0.37, and then it ended up getting to like 1.32, which was huge. But yeah, I mean, he totally ruined my whole
I don't
fantasy
think I'd
week.
ever seen a result that bad for him or the Packers, really.
That was terrible.
Especially after the whole offseason shenanigans and all the questions. But I'm thinking it's going to be a punch in the mouth. I'm not going to hit the panic button.
Or you got to wonder if maybe he comes back to the Packers just to sabotage for everything that they've put him through.
Dude,
Maybe.
that would be
Obviously.
next level. He would have had a better QBR if he spiked the ball all game.
Yes.
And that's
we
actually a
talked about
fact. Yeah, and that's a fact. What's up, Joey?
So, yeah, I going off that, I looked how he was doing. He's actually rated QB number 35.
Yikes.
Jesus.
There's 32 teams in the
Which
NFL.
means Mariota did better. Sermon did better. Did what's his face from the Saints play?
Taysom.
Taysom Hill.
Taysom
That's
Hill,
3
that's right,
QBs
yeah.
already. I'm not sure if
Yeah.
Taysom Hill had a
He
throw
did
or
get
not.
he got a snap and I think rushed for a first down.
So there
That
might
was
be
better.
one
How
other
early
QB.
Ryan Fitzpatrick maybe before
Yeah,
he...
Fitzpatrick and Washington's backup.
Heineke.
Yeah.
Heineken. So
Heine.
those 3, I mean, we can't count Taysom because he didn't throw, but those 3 added on top of, and Fitzpatrick. So, yeah.
That's ugly. That's embarrassing. But what you're saying, like, if he's that bitter, which he's a bitter motherfucker, to sabotage the Packers and also lower what he may get paid by the next team when he gets released in free agency to then create a better team that he goes to.
Right, yeah.
That's
the
next
ultimate
level.
Jeopardy move. I
Obviously, I
Jenny,
don't
will
think
you
that's
get
what's
the-
happening.
yeah,
It would be
That's the-
quite the stretch.
No,
I agree.
but dear God, like I
I'd
think,
say it's an overreaction.
yeah, and going against Sean Payton in week 1, it looks like it's just a death sentence.
Mm-hmm.
Like giving that dude that much time to prepare for one team, like it's a death sentence.
Didn't the Bucks get blown out last year, week 1,
Yeah,
against the Saints?
By the Saints?
Yeah, by
Yes.
the Saints. So
they got blown out twice in the regular season by the Saints.
yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't hit the panic button on that, but I would say he's got he's got Adams, Cobb. I mean, Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones looked bad.
Yeah,
And I mean, Dylan did all right, but
Robert Tonyan.
it
And,
just, yeah.
2 catches.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting him to go off by any means, but still, I mean, he doesn't have the best wide receiving core, but he has some weapons, and he's made it work all this time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard he picked Jacksonville because it's the hardest area for people to play Green Bay to get to next level. Dude, seriously. But I mean, like, to use a hurricane to your advantage and not play in the Superdome, like, they still had some type of home field advantage, I guess.
Exactly.
But, okay, Mikey, are you nervous? We've got a few running back ones here, but with Aaron Jones on the Packers, would you be nervous or trying to trade him away based off of week 1?
No, because one big reason is, let's say you are nervous, what are you going to get him for? I mean, this is the week where everybody kind of overreacts, and you think your running back that you took in the first round didn't perform, but all that means is whenever you trade him, somebody's out there thinking, I'm going to trade low,
Right.
you know, for your Zekes, for your Barkleys. What are you going to get him for? Are you really going to give up your first round pick for, you know, pennies on the dollar? Like,
Exactly.
you don't ever want to, you know, take your first round pick and trade him at a discount.
Yeah.
On the flip side,
Facts.
I would definitely be, if I had the ammo, I'd be sniping for Aaron Jones
Yeah.
right now.
You know, if there's someone out there that's willing to do that, and, you know,
I hope
you know,
there's not, but
and is just freaking
Yeah.
the fuck out, then
Yeah.
why not?
Yeah.
yeah.
Dude, Jake, becoming a regular. Dude, thank you.
Shout out to Jake
Thank
B.
you, Jake.
Time to offer someone Daryl Henderson for Aaron Jones. Dude, for real. Chase Edmonds. No, oh my God. That's actually, that type of stuff happens every year from people just becoming too emotional and attached to what they see watching the games on week 1. And like, I would be a lot more concerned about Aaron Jones if A.J. Dillon all of a sudden came in the second half and like he was the spark of the offense. He really wasn't. He was getting thrown down in the backfield just like Aaron Jones was, and they just wanted to get Aaron Jones off the field so he didn't get hurt.
It was a beat down on all phases. Didn't Jordan Love, all their starters got pulled, and
Yeah.
Love went in, and
Yeah. And Adams came away like with 10 points, and he was the biggest scorer in the game for them, I think.
But see, that's the type of stuff that you want to look for.
Yep.
You know, if there is a back and running back that's getting all the work and your first round pick is just sucking ass, aside from the team sucking ass, then that would be different. Then
Right.
I would be a little bit more concerned. But
Yes.
I think in this scenario, what you do is you take this game and you just forget about it. Pretend like it didn't happen and then see what happens week 2. Which should be a way better matchup for
Detroit.
Way better result.
Hawks going to the Super Bowl. Soy Boys going to LA. Time to book it. I'm with it. Dude, I'm with it. Oh my God. If we could go see that SoFi Stadium.
on the Super Bowl tickets,
Yeah.
I'd do it.
Dude, okay. Well, we're Seahawks fans first. So does anybody want to comment on what they saw on Sunday morning from the Seahawks?
Yeah, I'll say some concerns, but I wouldn't overreact, is Chris Carson played the majority of snaps.
Mm-hmm.
I think they'll call up Alex Collins, but they were also so efficient on offense that it was kind of almost bad. Our defense played way more snaps. I think on offense we had around like 50 total snaps, and then defense it was like 79 or close to 80 snaps. And I mean, it's not bad, but that's just kind of the double-edged sword. You're that efficient on offense, your defense is going to play. But our defense played lights out.
And the Colts ran the ball so many times that it drains the clock. And we literally were scoring so damn fast with Tyler Lockett. Like, I was happy to see. I was thrilled watching the game of like how creative the offense looked. Like, we ran a fake sweep to tight end screen. Like, when have you ever seen the Seahawks offensive coordinators even try or do anything like that with the offense?
As it relates to fantasy, if I'm Tyler Lockett's owner, I'd be pumped. If I'm DK, I'd be pumped just because if other teams look at it, they're like, oh, we can't double up DK because Lockett's going to eat. And then Everett was moving all over the field too. So he's going to be a legit weapon. And then him and Disley pretty much split the snaps. So
Yeah.
I mean.
And anytime that we can give Carson the ball and he comes out of the game not hurt, granted it was 16 carries, but I think, you know, from what I saw, I think it was a great result, and we can hopefully count on him for the rest of the season because Penny's out.
Yeah, which he was already out of sight, out of mind for me.
Made
to
a
begin with.
styrofoam. Yeah, he
I was trying to move him everywhere, and I drafted him everywhere.
Which I was shocked by.
Dude, Carson looked awesome though. He had like 19 carries, almost like 120 yards.
I think he averaged like 5.5 or 5.6 yards per
He's
carry.
up there. He had there was that one run where it looked like there was no hole, and then he suddenly finds it, breaks it out for 30 yards. Yeah, the Hawks look good.
Yeah, and to your point, like, he was out there for 42 snaps, Penny 7, Dallas 3. So, like, for fantasy football, which, yeah, we're Hawks fans, but mostly fantasy football here for this show. Chris Carson could be a horse, whereas, like, me going back and watching all of these games, I took note of all of the snap counts for running backs. There's so many fucking committees out there, it just will make you puke. And Carson actually got one of the biggest carry shares of any running back in the league.
I will say, though, there was one play I watched where they did like a double fake and they gave it to Carson on the outside. That's something you'd want to give to like Penny or like DJ Dallas because Carson's just not that quick.
No.
Or Eskridge. They did one with Eskridge too, but I think they'll
Concussed.
work themselves out when they find their personnel. But
Yeah. But I was super encouraged by how our offense
I will
looked.
say real quick, week 2, who are you starting from the Hawks if you had them?
Easily DK.
You're firing up DK, you're firing up Lockett, Russ. Obviously, I think it doesn't really change, you know, from week 1. I don't think Eskridge has gone
Against
to
the
a point.
Titans too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just
Eskridge is
wanna
concussed. We
win
got
He
to
just
watch
got
that.
completely beat down.
Same with Gerald Everett.
Yeah. For Gerald Everett getting that touchdown, yes, it makes you feel good. But to me, he just is thrown into the bucket of tight ends where you're begging for a touchdown. In that game, he got 2 targets. Disley had 3. So, yeah, he got the touchdown. But if he doesn't have that, then he gets you 2 points. Yeah.
Big DJ Dallas guy.
Yeah. Dude, Dallas has game, man. But you guys are too good in the comments, and I got behind. Adrian is
Poor
the
man's
resident
John
Hawks
Clayton.
expert.
Poor man's John Clayton.
I'll take it.
You kind
Let's
of
be
resemble
real,
Be in the
John
same
Clayton.
Anybody
sentence
on
as
the
John
Hawks.
Clayton. That's awesome. I'll be not the professor, but the student.
All right, and then
Should look him up.
I think another takeaway from this, like the Colts, you're hyped if you have Jonathan Taylor because you knew Hines is good enough to be on the field, but Mack and Wilkins were not on the field. So for Taylor, like you'd want to,
That's big.
good to see.
And Hines looked good too.
Yeah, Hines is too good to keep off the field.
He almost
is
is
not
like
a Tariq Cohen.
he's almost like a Hunt.
Oh, dude.
He'll
Burrow
be
is
on
like,
there. Yeah, he'll be on.
We'll get to it.
yeah. And the last thing is like, dude, if they're throwing out at corner, the Colts, Rock Ya-Sin, and Seahawks throw away TJ Carey, you're gonna want to start your receivers against the Colts. But all right, back to overreaction season. I got too many notes, literally. All right, so we went Packers. We're not worried about the Packers. Going back
Not
and
yet, at
watching,
least.
yes, going back and watching these games, the Falcons next to the Jaguars looked like the worst team in the NFL. Now, you didn't get a huge game, which sucked, from Ridley or Pitts. Mike Davis had an okay game. How are we feeling about the Falcons?
They go against the Bucks next week.
Yeah. Oh,
It's
Russ.
going to be a tough slate, but
Bucks are favored by 13, I think. Right now.
I'm still starting
Take
Pitts.
the over on that.
I'm
Yeah.
still starting Pitts. I think they do have weapons. They're gonna find the rhythm. It's a new coach. I mean, Shane Waldron's a new coach, but Falcons are a lot worse. I just think they have too many weapons, and then Gage is a big disappointment.
Yeah, that
He was a
rough.
non-factor.
Dude, complete non-factor. But God, their whole team was.
And this is why I was kind of fading a majority of the Falcons in all of my drafts, just because I knew, like, to your point, you're going to start Pitts. You're also going to start Ridley. You're not going to bench those guys and until further on in the season, and that's if they suck ass. I mean, Davis is on the bubble to where I can see if you have running back depth, someone that emerged, you might put him in for Davis. But you can't, at this point in the season, you can't bench Pitts.
No.
You can't bench Ridley.
And-
Gage you can toss.
Yeah. Pitts, though,
I
like
agree, yeah.
at tight end, I'm looking for dudes that are just even involved in the offense. Pitts still had 8 targets. And him being that big of a body and being that explosive, I'm still very happy that
D-line
Pitts.
for the Eagles are they're terrorizing them.
They were.
Who do you got? Malcolm Jenkins back there.
Yeah, he's gone.
He's gone.
But
I
no,
don't even
but
know who
like,
they have anymore.
dude, it was like, oh my God, no. Literally watching this game, I wrote this down because I was shocked that like the old men, like it was Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham looked like Super Bowl Brandon Graham, Hargrave and Barnett were just destroying the Falcons' offensive line, which like we had highlighted at the preseason that the Falcons were going to come in with one of the worst O-lines in the league. But they are going to be behind in a lot of games, obviously, because their defense also sucks. So similarly with the Packers, it's harder for me to say, but I would also be trying to buy in on Falcons players selling their guys low.
It's one of those things that you're going to want to pay attention to. I mean, Ridley, that's, what are you going to do? Who are you going to trade him for?
I will say
The
He
second
still had
round,
10
you
points.
after
Yeah.
week
And
2,
Pitts had 8 targets. I mean, they're going to be throwing the ball.
after week 2, if Ridley's your number 1 and they just get stomped by the Bucks, would you shop him? Or would you be kind of interested in trades?
I'd be trying to trade for him.
I
But
would-
I'm
yes.
a Ridley dude. Like
Yes.
that's one of my
I'm not
guys.
even a Ridley dude, but that's the perfect scenario where you look at the matchups and you say, all right, you sucked week 1, you have the Bucks week 2. That's like that now you know that the person that drafted him is tilting.
Well, even the Bucks, even the Bucks, their corners are hurting right now with their injuries. And like, yeah, the Cowboys have great receivers, but
Just
like
got
it's not like
thrown
they
all
can't just get
over
burned. Yeah.
by the
Yes.
Cowboys. This
Yep.
could be a
Yep.
bounce back game.
Yeah.
I'm hoping Ridley's owner's not watching this, but
Dude,
I'll be
fucking
trying to
Kyle.
snipe that.
Yeah, I would be too. But hard to keep it a secret when
See,
you're
I don't know
projecting
about
it.
that.
Right.
Todd. I don't know that this is the season where he can have a decent result. I mean, I don't think it's always going to be the case. At some point, the bottom is going to fall out.
He is old. He's on
He's
the.
old. He's not mobile.
Yeah.
He doesn't have the wide receivers that he used to.
And there,
We'll see.
I was very, very high on Arthur Smith coming over, but like, dude, he had an old man curmudgeon offense. I was shocked, like, because the Titans, that was the best the Titans offense has ever looked. And I thought that he was going to be smart enough to, which I'm sure he is, but like to take what the Falcons have and mold an offense around that. But they really
It
didn't.
was welcome to the league. Hey, it's like Bill Belichick, play your players to their strength.
Right, and Mike Davis, like they were down by 20 points, and Mike Davis got 2 carries on first and second down. And it's like, Dude, you're down by 20, and you got Pitts and Ridley. Like, do something else. And they really didn't. But
one guy I wanted to mention just as since we are on Tuesday and we are going into Wednesday waiver wire night, Cordell Patterson.
yeah.
I mean, are we putting any fab on him? Because he's always looked good to me, at least from past seasons on different teams.
Mm-hmm.
He's always looked decent. Obviously, nothing happened to Mike Davis, and a lot of the times that's who you're putting in bids for when something happens to, like in a Raheem Mostert scenario.
I would definitely have him monitored. It could be something where you could pick him up if you're kind of foreseeing it. But I mean, Mike Davis, he is the guy out there. So
yeah,
it's one of
Patterson
those.
did see a lot of snaps, but like, dude, it bums me out that he wasn't put in to play running back earlier in his career because, like, dude, he's big and fast and can catch the ball out of the backfield. So, like, you could do worse on the waiver wire.
Yeah, exactly. And my point is that you can do worse. You can end up having to pay a lot of fab for these Elijah Mitchells, Kenneth Gainwells, and them not work out. Whereas Cordero Patterson, you don't have to spend that much on him. But, not to say that he's going to hit. I think that at a certain point, you kind of have to think this guy might have standalone value, even with Mike Davis there. I don't know how much the case that will be, but you want to be early on these types of guys.
I was going to say, Mikey is the running back hoarder, so.
Dude, we got a lot of hoarders in our league, bro. We got a lot of hoarders. But, like, Mike Davis, he did look good, though. Like, I mean, not as good as Christian McCaffrey looked. Like, but like,
no, you of all
new
people
offense.
know that.
Oh, yeah.
I blame the coach.
Dude, it scares me. But then overreacting the other way, the Eagles look damn good. If you were a late round guy that took Jalen Hurts, like, he's got a floor of base. He got 62 rushing yards in this game, and he didn't even run that much.
Listen, I will say it right now. I told everybody we were at the draft. I got that one wrong. I was just super out on Jalen Hurts and
eating the crow.
Yeah, I'm eating the crow on that one.
To back you a little bit, though, watching that game back, the Falcons couldn't stop a nosebleed. Like, they were spreading the ball out horizontally, throwing short and running, like, outside zone read option and RPOs, which a lot of good defenses can shut that down.
I think Smith helps a lot.
Yes.
Because then you got Rager doing his thing. He's got speed. You got Smith who has speed. You got Sanders, Hurts.
He was looking so fast, dude.
They're all looking fast.
But see, for
Sanders
that same
looking very
point,
fast.
I didn't think that they had a good enough offense to make Jalen Hurts look as good as he did this week one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Rager and Smith
Even
were
Goddard,
legit
didn't
1-2.
Goddard get a touchdown too?
He did.
Yeah, he
and
did.
that
He did.
scramble
That pisses
and
me
throw
off.
on the run that Hurts had was like, that looked like what Lamar Jackson does when he gets out of the pocket. Like,
Would you
it was
put
pretty
Hurts
impressive.
above Tua?
Yes. In real football and way in fantasy football.
Okay.
Yeah, but see, they have to play Washington, and they also have to play the Giants, who are not terrible.
They're a good defense.
Oh, God.
They do have to play Dallas, but I'm saying this is why I was out on Hurts to begin with. It was the first reason I mentioned, and that. And I was
Washington
just never a
twice.
big believer in him, even when he did come in last year. But like I said, I will take that L. Now, seemingly, we'll see what happens the rest of the season.
Yeah. But definitely having a legit, like, wide receiver one. And, like, Sirianni, I have to, like, I know he has no idea who the fuck I am, obviously. But, like, I have to say sorry to him because he looked like an idiot in his press conferences. And obviously, like, he was able to do what Arthur Smith did not, at least in week one, and create an offense around the style of players that he had.
Yeah. I mean,
Which
Hurts
apparently is
still,
pretty tough.
I don't count the Falcons as a test for Hurts.
No.
I want to see what he does these next few weeks.
Yeah. But, God, their D-line looked good. But, okay.
They got San Francisco
Yeah, we'll see.
away. Or wait, no, I think they're at home. They're in Philly.
Yeah.
That'll be a good test with Bosa
That
and
will be a
all
good
those
test.
guys.
After
yeah.
this week, we'll be able to see what Jalen Hurts is made of.
So then we move from full offenses. Now we're going to go through some of these first round running backs, and you guys tell me which one you're more concerned with or aren't as worried about. The main guys that got drafted in the first round that were like 10 points and below was Zeke, Saquon, Najee Harris was drafted in the first round quite a bit, Derrick Henry, and Austin Eckler. I'll kick it off to you guys. Who's one that you really want to talk about?
Well, I'll just say Saquon I don't want to talk about, but because I already know how I feel about him.
You never wanted to talk about Saquon.
But
your
I
credit.
would be very worried. I'd be shopping him
I
ASAP.
agree.
I am not a Saquon fan.
Now, I wasn't as low on Saquon as a player, but you, especially Adrian, know. I have been calling for the Giants to potentially have the worst record in the NFL. Like, I think they're a freaking dumpster fire.
Even over, I mean, at this point, Jacksonville, the Falcons.
Jacksonville could definitely push, but
Right.
like Vegas odds, obviously the Texans were like the favorites to have the lowest record, but my like sleeper pick was the Giants because I think their defense was overrated and used scheme to beat teams like the Hawks. They got the worst O-line in the league, and I think Daniel Jones sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a
I agree with
Saquon
Haas.
truther.
Wazoo, this has got to be freaking. We already talked about Aaron Jones,
Yeah.
Steve. We already talked Aaron Jones.
Is that Steve?
Yeah.
Hey,
Homeboy took your spot.
keeping your spot warm. Unless you don't want to come back.
Steve, for the record, I told everyone on camera that you actually quit because you were too scared to come on and talk about Rob Gronkowski.
And a conversation off the air that happened was Chad called me pretty upset that Steve wasn't going to be on today.
Yes. Not
Yes.
surprised. Not surprised. Nah, Steve, we love you. But, okay, so Saquon, out of all those guys, you would be the most nervous about.
Yes. Because
Okay.
we already had the offensive line concerns. That I don't think that offense is that good. Saquon is obviously coming off that injury. You don't know what that was going to look like. Shit, we didn't even know if he was going to play week 1.
Yeah.
He's got the
So-
SpongeBob inflatable quads.
And the other reason is because
The
I'm
plastic
really
ones.
I'm really not that concerned with the other guys. So I mean, if there was one, it would be Barkley. I will say, I mean, he has Washington week 2. That's not an easy defense.
No, that's going to be rough. And I think the worst part about it is that Jason Garrett, like, he should not be an offensive coordinator. All of a sudden, the Cowboys, their offense came out of their rut when Kellen Moore took over as OC and Garrett just clapped on the sidelines. Him as an offensive coordinator, they were just running Saquon into the D tackle. Like, there was no creativity, nothing.
I don't know.
And-
I don't think they're easing him back.
I'll say Eckler too. I mean, he's perfect PPR.
One thought about
When he catches
Saquon before
passes.
we move on is the Giants do get the Falcons week 3, so he's another buy low. Because I'm wondering what I could, what I would have to pay up, to potentially get him. And I'm guessing based on this week 1 and even what I think is going to happen week 2, you can get him for peanuts.
Probably could. And he's going to
it's-
get the work.
Exactly.
Yeah, when a team, I mean, everyone wants to back their guys until you're facing the 0-2, potentially 0-3 start,
Exactly.
and you're desperate for moves.
Exactly.
All right, now you touched on Austin Eckler, and like this is somebody that I was lower on in draft season. I wanted Najee, Gibson, Taylor, any of those dudes over Eckler because just run Najee till the wheels fall off.
Well,
Yeah.
his wheels have
I
very
hope
little
so.
tread on it.
Yeah, my problem with Eckler is that Herbert. Watching that game back, Herbert did not have that big of a fantasy day. Real football. Herbert was carving up Washington's secondary, throwing down the field. And my problems with Eckler this year was last year when he was getting all those targets, that didn't help their offense. Herbert is such a good downfield thrower that it is doing a disservice to the Chargers offense to dump the ball off to him.
And this is considering the fact that Eckler wasn't there for all that time because he was hurt.
Yes.
Because there was, I mean, you got to think, he had to throw down the field, which could be
I'll also say
the way we are perceiving.
To Mikey's point, Eckler, he wasn't always there, but he is that safe check down. And anyone against the Steelers, or not the Steelers, the Washington football team with that line and those linebackers, that's a good defense.
Then you should be in those situations, you should actually be getting more dump off passes. He didn't see a single target in this game. Mm-hmm. And Austin Eckler is not the dude that I'm going to want to be my running in between the tackles running back.
What was the final score? Like 17, 16,
2017.
2017. So
yeah,
it was a freaking grind.
Yeah,
so,
and yet those are the games that I don't want him to be in.
For me, like a tough defensive line like that, like Eckler's not a ground and pound guy. He's not going to get those hard yards. He's like a rich man's Phillip Lindsay. I would compare him to, but
he didn't receive a single target, and that's supposed to be his bread and butter, is getting easy PPR points. Mm-hmm. So I was out on Eckler and was forced to draft him in one league because everybody took all the other runs. It was going to be either him or dudes that I would take in like the fourth round. Yeah. So I took him and immediately saw why I didn't want him.
Not to digress too much, but we are in week 1, and I just want to know, where do you fall in terms of preseason trading? You've already drafted, you have your players, you're out on a guy, you said you were forced to draft Eckler. Mm-hmm. Are you willing to trade your players in that?
Bro, I've been having FOMO this whole offseason because everybody starts just slanging their players around. Right, yeah. When last year, in your league, I had a completely different team than what I started with. And I haven't been able to make a single freaking trade.
Yeah, you and me both.
Made a trade.
No, but I'm saying you and I both are very much in the same boat as far as ending up with a completely different team than you drafted.
Yeah. Sometimes you have to do it.
I damn near hit the limit on trades every single season.
Porter, are you announcing but not announcing that Eckler's on the trade block?
Dude, he been on the trade block. but the biggest problem, and we've talked about this, is my goal with this thing is because I think I know a lot and I like to talk about it. So this weekend, people have called me and talked about trades and everything, and that just gets me hyped.
Yeah, me too.
But then everyone knows the players that I like and don't like. So when I have a player like Kenny Golladay on this team and SippinOnYac or Austin Eckler, people know that I don't like him. So when I try to fail. All good.
Is that a mic down?
Yeah, it's a mic down.
Mic down scenario?
But so my biggest problem is when I try to trade away players that I don't like, people will not take my trades because they know that I don't like them.
And you're pretty vocal about it.
Yeah, and I'm vocal about it.
Little malfunction.
Yeah, all good. You can see we got a serious high money organization we have going in here.
A lot of room for improvement.
Yeah. If you want to be a sponsor and give us some money for the podcast, then you could go right ahead and do it.
We're hoping that comes from the followers.
Are we close to taking donations yet? I know we got to get approved.
No, and honestly, before we had the mic down, I feel like we've actually been doing a lot better in terms of sound and just I feel so much more comfortable now doing this. So I do want to do a little Porter advertisement out there to try to get people to watch, but
our producer's been making the most of what
our
disposal has. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I've been spreading the word, getting it out there.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I've really wanted to do it over and over again to really force myself can we do this? And I've been feeling more comfortable and better about it the more we do. So, I want to put it out there and have some more friends come and watch.
It'll come with time.
See what happens when you talk about Eckler, Mike's fall. I mean,
literally,
we
bro,
go
just
into
his hamstring ripped off the
you're
bone
not
last
the only
year.
one. I think Squeeze in our other league was shopping Eckler too.
Okay. Yeah, and then a perfect trade candidate would be to Tyler Tyler watches, and he wouldn't touch any of my freaking Eckler trades to him because he doesn't want him either. Maybe I'm just overreacting.
I think it's a little bit of an overreaction. He was, kind of dealing with a little something in the week, and
he did get 2 inside the 5 carries, which was shocking, and scored on a touchdown. But all right, so next guy is Zeke. Zeke came in with 3.5 points. That's another buy low candidate for me.
I think so too. I just don't think that anybody. I mean, they were playing the Bucks. I think if you have any idea of what you're doing in fantasy, you're not going to sell on Zeke this early in the season, especially after playing the Bucks.
No. I would be cautious on week
tighten
week 2.
Crank the metal part.
Might have to
Yeah, it's trying to run.
We might have to. I would be very cautious on week 2 because I mean I was watching that game a bunch and he had a block. I mean they're down low and it was an air out. Brady versus Dak and
32 pass attempts in the first half.
CD was eaten. Granted, Gallup went down, but he had a good game before that.
Yeah, he was looking good.
I think Amari and CD were 2 of the highest targeted wide receivers in this week 1.
Yeah, CD had 15 targets.
Dak wanted to prove a point that he was back.
Yeah. Did it just hurt your soul?
No, because I know that shoulder's hurting him. He's got to be sore.
Sure.
His sore.
That's why he threw it 58
it's
times.
Only a matter of time.
And if he was running, you would have said, it would have been the ankle.
Yeah.
Like, you're always going to come up with something.
Dude, he even had a carry inside the 5 and almost scored. Okay, so we're not worried about Zeke. Are worried about Saquon. Not worried about Aaron Jones. I'm petrified of Austin Eckler. Wait, granted it was the Bucks, but Zeke was weak.
He did get tackled on the one-on-one, yeah.
Dude, that was bullshit. No. And then his pass, that catch that he had on the sideline where the momentum took him out of bounds, I think Tony Pollard is literally better than him. And last year he looked so much better than him. But he's getting paid $15 million a year and he played 70 snaps to Pollard's 20. So the Cowboys are not going to put him out.
That's Dak's boy.
Yeah, it is.
They're like this.
Yeah, they are. From the most boring season of Hard Knocks I've ever seen. But all right, so then next guy, James Robinson. Now, I know the narrative was he was so good last year, and now they have Trevor Lawrence. Their offense is going to be better. He saw 8 carries in this game, and they got blown out by the Texans.
To Carlos Hyde's, how many? Didn't Carlos Hyde get more carries than him in this game?
Carries, yes. Not nearly as many snaps, but yeah. Ooh, Danny, what's up?
That is a good point, Danny. Going back to Zeke, he was tasked with blocking. He did a good job.
He did a good job blocking.
He did.
Granted, against the Bucks, they're going to be facing teams where they're going to go up early and they're going to feed Zeke and control the clock.
Game script.
And then same with Robinson, new offense. I think hopefully Coach Urban Meyer. Sometimes in college they're stuck with their ways no matter the team. Is he going to make the adjustments to the league to help Lawrence out, feed Robinson? Because it's not like it didn't work last year.
It didn't. They went 1-15. And just feeding the ball to one running back is recipe for disaster. We saw the Rams play against the Bears. The Rams had 4 dudes in the box pretty much the whole game, and we're just begging the Bears to run it on them.
Then I think that, to your point, success to us doesn't necessarily mean that one running back is finding success. It's really what the team is doing,
yes,
and whether they are being successful.
For me, it's hey, if he's gonna get fed, I don't care if they're low in the box or not. Same with Najee.
But wait, that's the problem with Robinson is they didn't feed him. Last year they did when he was the only running back in the backfield. Lawrence had over 50 pass attempts in this game.
I'm hoping the Leach Hyde doesn't continue, but I'm still high on Robinson.
I wish I had Robinson so I could trade him too.
So you can trade him away?
So I could trade him away. Yeah.
Because he knows there's some guys in this league that are still in on him.
Absolutely. And it's like, if you couldn't get the right game script to get fed the ball a lot against the Houston Texans, when are you going to be up to where they're finally feeding the ball to James Robinson when they drafted ETN in the first round to take carries away from him? And yeah, you get Lawrence, who's the number 1 pick, so their offense should be better. That just means they're going to use the running back less and lean on Lawrence's arm, which they did with over 50 pass attempts.
So you're hitting the panic button on Robinson.
Yes, and this is why I took wide receivers in my drafts, is for shit like this, so I don't get stuck with an RB2 in the 4th round.
And it kind of makes me feel sorry for all those guys that drafted James Robinson after the ETN injury, because you had to pay up a little bit more.
Yeah, you did.
In drafts. Yeah, I haven't heard so much about what Meyer's doing down there, but I've kind of
for real.
Yeah, there's some.
I've heard a little
saying,
bit here and there.
Yeah, there's
Tots,
some rumors.
I've been seeing that too.
That Urban Meyer's thinking about going back to college, but that's such a freak out.
Dude, but the quote is that he has become unhinged and like yelling and screaming at people and trying to run it like Ohio State. Mm-hmm. He got run out of Ohio State for a day, and they immediately came back as a program when Meyer got out of there. Like,
is Myers toxic?
Dude, Meyer is toxic. He hired that super racist strength coach, which they got so much flack for it that the owner made him fire that strength coach after a week.
Jesus.
Dude, the Jags could be the worst team in the NFL
That's not
this
a good
year.
look.
No.
I mean, they were the worst team last year, so that wouldn't be too surprising.
That's what I'm saying, man. The Texans rung up 37 points on him. Like,
he seems like a very prideful dude that's just like coming in here trying to wave his dick around.
Yeah.
Like, and it's not the place to do it. It's your first year in the league.
yeah.
Yeah.
It happened to Nick Saban. Nick Saban went 7-9 and dipped out. I got you.
I will say Carroll did it right, though.
Yeah.
Pete?
He's one of the only college coaches of recent who's actually had success.
Because he was a friend to the players. People like to play for him.
The players' coach.
People like it's
Only
team
slightly.
coaches, players coaches.
And I will say, like, a college, there are some coaches out there who'll ring them up, like Myers.
Mm-hmm.
But they've also been NFL coaches for a while, and
Yeah.
they can do that. But Myers coming from college, running grown men, and they're, like, already, like, who the fuck is this guy? We're the worst team.
It happened to Matt Patricia in Detroit. Same
But
thing.
maybe they needed a fire under their ass. Who knows?
Well, I mean, like,
We'll see.
the other way, I would be loving having pass catchers for the Jags because it looks like they're going to be down in games and they want to see what Lawrence has and is slinging it
I was
around.
surprised Chenault looked good.
Yeah.
Chenault looked really good.
They were designing pretty low ADOT things and run concepts for Chenault, and then Jones and Chark were the downfield guys that looked pretty good. We may need
Even
to
O'Shaughnessy got 8 targets.
Yeah.
I don't know how I don't know that will sustain. I don't know if I'd be looking for him as weak as the tight end landscape is.
Yeah.
But you never know.
That's
Mikey.
like when frickin' Skip Bayless is tweeting that, oh, it looked like the Jags could have used Tim Tebow out there. I was going to puke. I was like, dude, how do you get paid so
Skip
much money?
Bayless eats his own shit.
Literally, though.
So bring it on this side. Might work.
I'll keep an eye on it.
Sorry about that.
It's all
Rookie
good.
move. I'm not setting things up right,
It's all
apparently.
good. It's all good.
All right, so then to go to Najee. Najee scoring 4 points in his first game in a game that the Steelers actually won, surprisingly.
Mm-hmm.
You guys both have Najee on your teams. How are we feeling about Najee?
I'm okay with Najee. They played the Bills. They're no slouch. I was very happy to see that no other running back got any of the work.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope that will continue. And for the same reason I said before, I'm just not a fan of trading guys and not, you obviously didn't ask me that, but I'm just not a fan of moving on from guys after week 1 on a down week. If I was that concerned, I would wait to see a good game on the schedule, have them do good, in theory, and then see if I can move on from them.
Yep.
I'm okay
Najee
on Najee.
plays the Raiders, Cincinnati, and then we'll see how Green Bay does. Green Bay's their next one. Denver.
Their run defense looked terrible.
Yeah.
The Packers.
So, I mean, granted, Green Bay's a great team, so it could easily turn around. They got the Twins, so who knows how they'll look by then, but I'm hopeful for Najee.
Yeah. And he did also see a target inside the 5 that could have been a touchdown. If you, as a running back, are getting thrown the ball and potentially get a touchdown, like, you want running backs like that.
But he had 16 attempts, 3 targets in the pass game.
Yeah.
For a rookie, I'm fine with that.
And we knew that their O-line was not going to be that good. But if you, like, what I've been focusing on watching the games in week 1 is what is the player's role? It's a long season just because you have one bad game, but you're at least out there on the field like Kyle Pitts with getting 8 targets. It's like you can more easily predict what's going to happen later on. And if Najee is on the field pretty much the whole game, he's going to get a lot of opportunities to score points, even if their O-line sucks.
So no panic on Najee.
No panic yet.
panic yet.
I'm hoping he would have been a little bit more efficient, but he, it's still early.
He's a workhorse, though.
He's a
That's
workhorse.
good sign.
Mm-hmm. And then do a combo here of Trey Sermon and Zach Moss getting healthy scratched in the game.
Well, I'll talk about Sermon first.
I have enough sermon shares.
Yeah,
so I have my thoughts.
I was gonna say. So there's rumors that, so Shanahan said Sermon was his guy, and they wanted to take him early, but he also said that about Dante Pettis, and one of their last number 1 picks, who was just a best, who was just a total bust, and so there's rumors that potentially. They're like, is this a attitude thing where he's trying to put him in like his place kind of thing?
That's what I heard.
Or that's what I heard. Or is it like a potential injury? They're giving him, even though he's a rookie, like a veteran's rest. All I know is with Mostert out, he's going to be in the mix. I think Mitchell is more explosive, but as far as like a workhorse, it's going to be Sermon.
Yeah, for real. Elijah Mitchell, I guess, got drafted in the 6th round this year, and I didn't even know he was on the roster. Like, I thought I knew everybody.
But how many times have we seen that where even these teams get it wrong? They draft an early running back, and then some guy that wasn't drafted or was drafted super late comes in and takes, given the opportunity, they take advantage of it, and they become the lead dog.
Mm-hmm.
I will say Shanahan, it seems like they are plagued with injuries, and somehow a running back steps up and they become a freaking beast. Yeah. They're almost like the Patriots, but like a little better. You don't know who's going to do what.
Yeah.
So
they don't give a shit about having a dog. They're going to mix it up. And like Shanahan, we have now learned, is also like the Patriots with Belichick. He's not going to give you all the information. Because Brandon Ayuk, like, I wouldn't be worrying about him because it looks like he was injured. Like, but they didn't tell us that. Word on the street, they just picked up legendary Kerryon Johnson. Oh, God, don't do that, man.
It's not something that gives you confidence, but, to his point, I did hear some of that locker room stuff to where he was coming in late for meetings or, not showing up to practice. And if that's true, and obviously with this injury now to Mostert, I think he will be in the mix. And if Trey Sermon is who they thought he was, who they drafted him to be, then I'm not so sure that I would go after Elijah Mitchell and have to pay up guap to get him, because people are going to be going in on him.
I will say in the SippinOnYac league, Kyle somehow already had him.
Dude, Kyle
Wow.
is every morning. This guy is getting up, and anybody that has passed waivers before and doesn't have a claim, he's getting them. Kyle got Tyson in a bunch of leagues. Elijah Mitchell, he literally was freaking out on Sunday watching Elijah Mitchell. He was like, "Yeah, I got him on the way here." I was like,
Yeah.
"Who the hell is that?"
And Kyle, if you're watching this, that's a great feeling.
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna hate because I've been there
It was the
before, and
best.
you love to get a step on everybody else.
For real, absolutely. Are there going to be randomly bringing Lance throughout the year? Yeah, I think like they were even doing that in the preseason, and I think he's going to be in there more once his finger is like fully healed from that chip thing. Like,
Yeah, chip, cartilage chip.
Yeah.
I will say they're almost like the Chicago situation.
Yeah, they did the same thing.
Except Jimmy's, I'm going to say, definitely a step above Andy Dalton.
yeah.
I agree.
But it's almost like it's only a matter of time. Let the young guy learn the offense, see how the actual guy does it, except there's more of a question mark with San Francisco than Chicago.
And San Francisco at least has an offensive line that can like protect Jimmy. Where like, dude, that game, watching that Bears game was like, okay, Dalton racked up like some yards and everything. That's because San Francisco literally sat back once they had a lead and was like, you're not going to throw over the top, period.
San Francisco?
Or LA Rams.
LA
Like the
Rams,
Rams
yeah.
literally were like, dude, you're not throwing over the top. And then if their O-line is going to be that bad, why not freaking put Fields back there so that he can actually like separate and get away when the rush comes? Dalton's not going to do that.
You're right. There's no way they're going to start Fields against the Rams. That was
Yeah.
a dead
Yeah.
sentence.
Right.
Ramsey looked lights out. He is, now that they're having him not like just lining
Fix your
up,
mic.
he's actually hopping over around the all over the field. He's going to be a problem. He's like a Jamal Adams, but a cornerback.
Looking like he could end up as Defensive Player of the Year.
Right here.
And I know I've heard that from other people too. I think Jaime said that earlier this week.
Ramsey?
That Ramsey was looking like a dog.
He was. I watched that game and it was pretty scary. Like every time he's making tackles, he was doing everything. Poor Robinson. If you're a Robinson owner, I wouldn't be too worried. He went against the best of the best. So.
Yeah. Honestly, and Jaime and I were talking about this earlier. I'm not super high on Robinson. I would rather be, if I'm a Robinson owner, I would rather be receiving passes from Fields over Dalton, just because I feel like he could be more effective, give you a better fantasy result week in, week out with Fields throwing him the ball. I'm just a bigger believer in him than I am with Andy Dalton. But when you take that and you think, how long is it going to take for that to actually happen? And then you consider that he's got to go against he went against Ramsey this week 1. I don't know that Jair Alexander moves around a whole lot.
He really doesn't.
I don't think he does, but I mean, let's say I don't know. Like I could see him kind of doing not great in those games.
Yeah.
And then by the time that Justin Fields comes in, you've gone what, 5 weeks with poor fantasy output from a guy you drafted in the second, third round, depending on if you were high on him or not.
Yeah, and Chicago does have a tough schedule. So I think with Fields, though, at least he can scramble out of those situations and then throw a bomb.
Extend plays, yeah.
Because Allen Robinson is good down the field. He's not just this like little possession receiver that like their offense has like kind of turned him into. If Fields then can get out of the pocket and then throw him some bombs, like, dude, he can sky for the ball and come down with it. And like, I was able to, in the league that I have Allen Robinson, I got him at the beginning of the 4th. So like, I'm not tripping. I love Allen Robinson.
Yeah.
And even though he didn't have a great game against the Rams, he still had 6 catches and over 10 targets. So like, I'm fine with putting him in my lineup every week. But so then like more reactions. Dude, Mike Evans on Thursday. Like, I know TJ loves this because he got freaking, oh my God, this cat. Because he got Tom Brady. He got Tom Brady and Antonio Brown in almost every league.
It Were we talking about Kevin?
No, I know TJ got Brady and Brown in all kinds of leagues, but in SippinOnYac, Kevin did, right? He's the Fighting Buccaneers.
Yes. He's got like $5 on his team.
So Evans got like 3 points. Are we nervous about Mike Evans?
Super nervous.
Okay.
I was out on Evans even before drafts. I was never going to touch him. But I was out on most Bucks simply because I knew it was going to be one. I just didn't know who it was. And, I just think that's too much offense to go around. Especially now now we're seeing Gronk come out.
Yeah.
I will say, though, like, Evans, he got the targets. He was dropping passes.
Yeah.
And
did he get the targets?
He didn't get that many.
You tell me.
He didn't get that
I don't
many.
think he got that many.
No. But I agree with you that it's going to be like there's going to be games where Antonio Brown doesn't have a huge game either.
Yeah, Danny, the mic is
right.
intact for now.
6 targets, not horrible.
No.
6 targets, but
For 3 receptions, 24 yards. Yeah, not too good.
What you're saying though is right. They're going to play tag a little bit of who's going to have some big games.
So are you higher on AB or Evans?
I don't want to say that I'm higher on AB just because I saw it happen first.
Yeah.
Because for all I know, it can go, week 2, we can see Evans come out with a great result, and it could be AB that's got,
who are you highest on? Godwin then?
I'm highest on Godwin.
I like Godwin because he seems to have a more consistent role being in the slot and being a possession receiver, and they use him in the red zone. Not as much as Evans, but like Godwin
I would
for
say
sure.
I'm highest on Gronk.
Oh, talk about overreaction.
I feel like it's easy to say now.
Yeah.
Just that
no
rapport
doubt.
with Brady, how he looked in the playoffs, Super Bowl.
But to your point, I think that Godwin being in the slot, I think historically Brady has, preferred that wide receiver over, all of his other options.
Yeah.
And
he isn't a small white guy though.
No.
Well, that's
he's
true.
Not. So that's why he's got the juice. He's even better. Like. But Evans being on the outside, he's still going to see the number 1 coverage. I don't think they're going to put, because Evans is so big, a little number 2 corner or one that isn't fast, he's going to destroy that. So, dude, Antonio Brown has just as good of a shot, because if he's going to get the lighter coverage, and I can't believe that he was burning fools like that.
AB's just a high ceiling.
Dude.
Like, he's almost like when Tyreek first emerged, where I had Tyreek that first year, where it'd be one game he puts up 20, 30 points. The next game he has like 5 points.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you, if you have AB, are you looking to trade high on him?
Maybe I would hesitate a week or two just to see, because if Brady, last thing I knew, Brady lived with him. So they're probably passing in the backyard. They have that already chemistry going.
All right, shot in the dark then. Would you rather have, at this point after week 1, would you rather have Antonio Brown or Robert Woods?
Woods.
I'd have Woods.
Okay, what about Antonio Brown or any of the Steelers receivers?
AB. I don't like the Steelers receivers.
I think I would go AB in that situation, just because I feel like the Steelers receivers are kind of in the same boat where you don't know. It's going to be one of those guys that's going to get left out.
Yeah.
They're the poor man's Bucks receivers.
I kind of agree, honestly.
No, I'm with that too. What about Antonio Brown or Devontae Smith?
Smith.
I'd rather have AB.
That's tough. I think I'm going to go AB.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'd be interested to see what Steve has to think about, because I know he drafted it, and I think Tots did too, right?
TJ has him in like multiple leagues.
Yeah. Dude, speaking of Brady always going to trust Gronk, that they read that where Gronk was
made that
okay,
adjustment, looked at the blitz.
Yeah. And he was like, oh shit, I'm going to be open, and just whips right.
That's chemistry. That's years of Super Bowls.
You can't put that into projections of fantasy points. You just can't.
They've done that a million times, so it's like they saw that and instant.
It's going to be telling what happens in this Bucks-Falcons game, where the Falcons probably won't be able to play catch-up and hang in the game like the Cowboys could. That's just a guess. You know,
Are they
things
gonna
go
run with
crazy.
Mike
But
Davis, or is Pitts gonna eat in Ridley? We'll see.
what about Leonard Fournette? Did he impress you at all?
I was surprised to see how many targets he got.
After he like botched that one for the interception,
Exactly.
God, but you know Ronald Jones isn't going to catch it.
Exactly. The guy's got bricks for hands.
Yeah.
I think if Fournette does well, like next game, if he just is a powerhouse, he's going to be the clear number one. And whoever got him, that's a good steal.
Yeah.
But I think and granted, I think maybe this was just a beat reporter out there, but they were saying that Ronald Jones was named the starter.
Yeah.
Could be.
They were like, I was also trying to pay attention with these like backup running backs of like, because different backs were used very differently. Some of the number twos were coming in to like spell the number ones, like Damian Williams for Montgomery. But like the Bucks, they like give you a drive. So that's why I don't want Fournette, because like what if all of a sudden Ronald Jones doesn't fumble and he actually looks good? And they're going to just keep that guy in there. So it's like it could really work out for you one week, and then one week it can just be taken away from you and you just don't know which one's going to go off. But
And not to mention, you got Gio Bernard coming in on third downs.
he's going to
Never
screw
got
with
about
both
Bernard.
of them no matter
Exactly.
what.
Yeah, I forgot about
Exactly.
Bernard.
Yeah, because he was definitely the pass catcher.
If you have Fournette, if you get one more, another good week out of him, a decent week out of him, I'd be looking to move on.
Okay, so then some positives we've already touched on Gronk, and I think Gronk has potential to be more consistent because, like, dude, OJ Howard got like 6 snaps and Brait didn't see a single one, which I did not see coming. That was an L for me too, as it was for Steve. Steve had a nice soundbite for it, but like I should be thrown in that too. I take an L on Gronk for sure, but like some positives, dude. Mike Williams looked good. And I had to drop him, but like I regret dropping him instead of Marquez Callaway.
I'll take a dub on that because
Yeah.
I was trying to get him everywhere. And I think if Kevin, I don't know if he's watching because he's on his honeymoon.
Yeah.
And cheers to you, Kevin, if you are. But I was trying to get him tough. I was working on Kevin for like an entire day
Really?
with Mike Williams because I was super high on him.
He looked
I
good. He had
Yeah,
a
he
great
did.
game.
I didn't end up with him in any drafts. I think I did end up getting him in SippinOnYac
For $11,
for
which I thought
$11.
that was a nice like baseline setting, because some people that haven't used Fab before, I literally for the show and after called them and was like, yo, I'm gonna drop Mike Williams, go see what he ends up costing.
Well, you
and try to
remember
use that.
we were talking. You guys were talking on the show,
Yeah.
asking each other how much would you drop. I know the number 8 got thrown around
Yeah.
quite a bit.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I don't know, that might be too low. And if
Yeah.
I really want him, I think, I might have to go 9, 10, but 10's an even number. So,
Right.
that whole
Right.
mind fuck. And so
Yep.
I was like, 11, I'll settle here. If I get him, great. If I don't, okay, I didn't spend $11.
If I'm going to bust on anyone in the league, I'm happy it was Gronk.
Yeah.
Yep. I took the week 1 though, and low key, hopefully the rest of the season. Yeah.
Yeah, I took the L on that week 1 too.
Steve, I'm with you on the L. I was not a Gronk fan either, you know that. And it was just so fitting that like Chad in SippinOnYac League, Yak Daddy League, played Gronk.
It's a power move.
Against Steve.
The
like,
Stones.
Bro, poetic
The Stones.
justice.
I love it.
And I checked in all of my leagues. I was like, did anybody start Gronk? And no. Chad in Yak Daddy was the only one that played him.
He went with this.
I
his
feel
guy,
like this is
Yeah.
almost something you got to write down, just kind of reflect on at the end of the season. Hey,
For
you
real.
remember week 1 when Chad
Yes.
made that call? Everybody thought it was, crazy.
And his
it
guy,
worked
Adam
out.
Thielen, popped the fuck off,
Oh,
too.
that
He
call.
did tell me with Gronk, he's like, I'd rather start my guy, and if he fails, at least I started my guy and no regrets. And
Bro,
paid off.
that's awesome.
But here's the thing. starting a guy, that call that he had with Gronk and the call that he had with Thielen is not the same.
No.
Because he had to take Thielen with his second pick. He didn't have to. And that's my point, is that he didn't have to. Especially when we consider I took him in the 5th round of our Mitchell League. He could have taken him a round or 2 later. Yeah. So, you still could have played him and gotten it right. But the fact that he took him that early, I guess, kind of...
His team turned out to be pretty damn good.
Right? Say, it worked out. I mean,
dude,
you can't fault him.
Cup was Yak Daddy of the week, dude. Cooper Kupp, oh my God, he is so nasty.
Woods, because him and Woods are damn near back to back, and it's like, pick your poison. And it's always been Woods gets the receptions, now no touchdowns, and Kupp gets the touchdowns. And I'm hoping that's not a trend moving forward.
Cooper balled out.
I think it will be.
Yeah,
I was kind of got the whole you see guys on the draft board and one's on top of the other, and it's like, well,
I didn't want to take Woods because I thought that I could get Kupp around later, but I wasn't able to get Kupp in any league.
Exactly. So. And so when I did take Woods, I said, okay, I better take Woods because if I wait, I'm not gonna get
Kupp.
Yeah, I'm not
right.
Exactly.
Back, yeah.
But initially, I thought in my heart of hearts that Kupp would do better than Woods. Yeah. And granted, it's just week 1, so guess I'll see what happened.
All right, then another positive.
No. We're big on Corey Davis around here. Ask Porter.
Dude, Corey Davis is on for. All right, then let's go to Corey Davis. I mean, I was high on Corey Davis coming in, and I had him on our little value thing. I didn't know if he was going to be this good.
Huge.
And it's obvious. I just watched this game back last night. Zach Wilson, number 1, was under pressure all day, and the Panthers' defense looks pretty damn legit. But, Zach Wilson was doing some things that, only a few guys in the league can do. He got sacked by Brian Burns a couple times, but there was one where he was able to get out of the pocket and outran Brian Burns to the edge and was just throwing lasers from outside of the pocket. And if he can do that, and obviously has a serious chemistry built up through preseason and training camp already with Corey Davis,
which we know is the case.
Yeah,
and
Corey Davis can
talked
pop
about
off.
It. Yeah, he has that Rodgers flick.
He does.
It's nonchalant and it goes 60 yards.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then Davis, they had that chemistry, and that's his clear number 1.
Yeah.
That. They're probably going to be playing down a little bit, but Davis is no slouch.
No,
not at all.
Proved it. I think that's why they shipped him off from the Titans, because they were just do we want to pay the guy? We got A.J. Brown coming up. Let's take him off, and he's done great ever
Which
since.
was fair because early in his season when they didn't have A.J. Brown, Corey Davis couldn't handle being the 1.
Mm-hmm.
But now he's been in the league longer, and it was a gamble for the Jets to give him, double-digit money. I think he got 10 mil or something like that.
Yeah, I was high on Corey Davis as well, and when I couldn't get Mike Williams, I was offering the same trade to Jaime in our other league. I would have offered it to you because I know you drafted him, but I kind of felt that wasn't going to happen.
No.
Knowing you
No.
and knowing the trades that I was getting. Yeah, no, Jake, that is 100% a steal. In the 14th round.
That's absurd.
Absolutely.
Absurd.
Yeah, I managed to
Steve.
pick up Corey Davis. I don't know if I got him that late, but in a couple leagues, and I'm definitely looking at him as my flex option.
Yeah.
Love you, Steve.
Yeah. See you, Steve. Thanks for coming in, man.
Cheers.
Yeah. Corey Davis is going to be somebody that I think you can rely on in almost any matchup just because, everybody's hyped on Elijah Moore, but dude, he had some rookie problems in this game. He dropped a deep ball that would have been a bomb. He dropped another screen pass. He did have another nice play up the sideline, but that one got called back to holding.
I'm just going to, I have Elijah Moore on my bench. He's definitely somebody, proper 12. That's a good pick.
Yeah, Squeeze brought that over yesterday.
He's definitely somebody I am looking at for the future. Rookie mistakes. He's not someone I'm starting. But I think if he can emerge, him, Corey Davis, and once Zach Wilson starts getting going, maybe that Jets team gets a little better, those guys can put up serious numbers.
The only thing is that Jamison Crowder, it looks like he might be coming back within the next week or two, and he soaks up a lot of targets.
Yeah.
We saw it last year. We saw it with Washington. It could just be a thorn on Corey Davis's side.
Oh.
Dude, Jake, I am a Bassel Hayden, Knob Creek, all that stuff, but the boy Julian Dr. Squeeze came over, and I'm not going to say no to some proper 12. It was the first time I've ever had it.
Who are we to turn that down?
No, yeah. For real. But, okay, if we're on that game, honestly, like, Zach Wilson had a rough day because he was under so much pressure.
Teeling.
Dude, Sam Darnold sucks. I'm sorry. He sucks. He had some, like, okay plays in this
Good
game.
thing Steve left. Did
Dude.
we have a bet about Sam Darnold?
We do
that
have
day?
a bet about Sam
Cam
Darnold.
Newton versus Sam Darnold.
Yeah, well, that's lost
already a
now.
winner.
Whoa,
Yeah.
no, I will say there is a chance. There are rumors potentially. Washington football team
There's no way.
could get Cam Newton,
There's no way.
and he could somehow still finish that. That's a Mikey versus Tyler bet. So is that a wash if Cam Newton doesn't come back?
Did we? Have
I don't
any-
know. He got beat out. He didn't get
got
injured.
beat
Cam
out.
Newton got benched.
Well, I feel like it kind of proves my point, the fact that he did get beat out, because I thought that's one would be, obviously I didn't think that one would just not play because he got beat out. This wasn't an injury thing, so that's my case right there.
I think Tyler has Cam Newton.
Waiting all night for Steve to say that. Dude, for real.
Oh,
Bro, like, okay. Darnold, yeah, he had one nice bomb to Robbie Anderson. He also missed some throws outside the numbers that were bad. And,
you know
like,
what I want to say is poor Robbie Anderson.
bro, actually.
He is a legit threat, good receiver, and he's just had the bummiest of the bummy QBs.
Yeah. Darnold.
No
again.
disrespect to
Darnold.
Teddy Two Gloves, but
Yeah.
I don't put him that much higher than Darnold.
That being said, if you have Robbie Anderson, are you worried?
Yes.
I
I'm
am
worried.
as well.
He's definitely a flex bench.
Yeah. Sam Darnold is terrible. As a Jets fan, I'd take Mark Sanchez back before him, and
No.
that's fucking terrible. He at least went to the AFC Championship.
I don't
But-
think that any of us would argue that. I think the at least my motivation for making that bet, where it was Sam Darnold
Kidding.
over Sam Darnold over Cam Newton, was the fact that he was just surrounded by a way better cast than he's had in his entire career, with especially with all the easy
Yeah.
points he can get with Christian McCaffrey.
And that was his best job,
Yeah.
was dumping it to
Even
was my
even then, he
motivation.
fumbled it on
Yeah.
one of the handoffs. I will
He
say,
hit it on the fullback.
question to Jake B. Would you take Geno Smith over Sam Darnold? Beloved, expert, coin tossed
Champion.
champion.
We gotta interrupt.
Oh, Darnold over. That's where you draw the
And
line.
That's where he
okay.
draws the
100%.
line. Now we know.
All right,
Darnold
now
didn't get punched.
you guys get a real peek behind the scene because this has been a bit of a clusterfuck with our production over here. We use an Amazon box to hold up the camera, and we are still watching my girlfriend's parents' cats, and
say if
the
a
cat
cat-
jumped in the camera box.
If a cat sees a box, it's game.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah,
it's a wrap.
Shits.
Cats out of the box.
Literally.
Yeah. Oh, good one, Jenny. Cats out of the box. But I would be worried about Robbie because CMC got 9 targets. He was the most targeted player on their team. And DJ Moore got screen passes to him. DJ Moore got end arounds, and he was running deep routes and just looked like the better receiver. So I think it's going to be, I'm good with DJ Moore. Obviously, I'm good with CMC. Scored 28 points without a touchdown. And I'm worried about Robbie.
And that cat, Marshall, Terrence Marshall,
That cat, yeah.
He looked pretty good.
Yeah, he's a problem for Robbie too.
And Robbie Anderson, even when he was on the Jets, he I felt like kind of played like their PPR guy.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas this time around,
So
with
do you think
McCaffrey there,
Terrence Marshall could take over that number 1 role? Is he that good?
Not that good.
I wasn't high on him, but I don't know. I don't want to say no.
Yeah.
But like I said, I'm worried about Robbie Anderson. If I drafted him, which I was trying to in certain drafts, I just never ended up with him. I'm kind of thankful that didn't happen for me.
Marshall, we were highlighting that he was going to be their big slot receiver, and he was. He also got an end zone target that he didn't come down with because it was a bad throw by Darnold. But he's getting thrown the ball in the red zone because he's a big freaking target. And Joe Brady was his college coordinator with LSU. So I think they drafted him with that in mind, that they were going to know how to use
That's
Marshall.
his guy.
So
Yep.
I wouldn't, from him not having a big day today, I would definitely want to keep him on my team for sure. Other real big one is David Montgomery looked damn good. Like, he is one running back that I would be very happy with.
He reminded me of like his last year, where it's like every time he touches the ball, the Bears offense looks good.
Mm-hmm.
But then they're just like wouldn't feed him as much, and they finally learned to feed him. So I think their running back situation's covered. I don't think Tariq Cohen's going to really do much, and I think it just comes down to when Justin Fields takes over.
Yeah. He looked strong. He was going through arm tackles and looked fast.
Yes.
Yeah. And
Shifty, elusive, all that good stuff.
For those of you guys that like the yards per carry stat, he was up there with one of the top running backs.
Yeah.
I think Melvin Gordon was up there, but I think you can toss that one out.
That was just from a big
that's
play.
hogwash.
Yeah, so you take that. If you drafted David Montgomery, you're pretty happy.
And the Rams were baiting them to run. Once they got up, they just were baiting them to run the clock out, which they partially did. But outside of that, he dragged Aaron Donald for his touchdown. Aaron Donald had both hands on him, and Montgomery ran through his arm tackle and scored. Like,
Which doesn't happen.
no,
I mean, it's Aaron
really,
Donald.
no. I'd be happy with him. This is like overreaction season. So Hawkinson, Swift, and Jamal Williams all scored 25.
Shake, yes. We do start the cat.
Playing in box week 1, you start the cat. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, what was that question, Jake B?
MG3.
Melvin Gordon.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. Gordon and Javonte were a dead split, even 33 snaps apiece, and Gordon just had the good day because of that garbage time, like 60-yard run touchdown that he had.
But I will say Gordon did produce, so it's one of those things. I mean, I'm with you in the Williams camp, but if you have Gordon, like, you're feeling pretty high.
But would you
Yeah.
be saying that?
I'd almost
I mean, a little
chop him around.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Would you be saying that had he not busted off that big run?
No.
I mean, can we look back and say, okay, this is what he had? I mean, what, 10 carries for I don't know how long that run was.
It was like 60.
Yeah, it was like 60,
Yeah, I
70
mean, we'd be
yards.
talking about 10 carries, about 40 yards.
Yeah.
Yeah, but for
You know,
me, it
and I
just
don't-
shows me like he has that in him still. So it's until he goes down or something, like it's just gonna be a split backfield.
But getting a lot of these like rookie running backs that you know are going to be more end of the season or later, like
Takes
how
time.
Sanders was,
It
right?
takes time,
if
yeah.
right off the bat you're getting 33 to 33 split, that's it to start. That's looking good for Javonte.
Especially with
does.
someone not like Hyde, it's Melvin Gordon behind him. That's good.
Yeah, if you can sell high on Gordon, that would be a plug for sure.
Yeah, I would almost say he's a flash in the pan, but at the same time, I could see him doing something like getting another touchdown or two these next couple weeks.
Yeah, who do they play week 2?
That's a good
Because,
question.
I mean, you'd be looking
Jacksonville. That changes everything.
Yeah, they could definitely. He could definitely get a touchdown or two.
You can definitely start him week
Yeah.
2 all of a sudden.
Yeah, but and then at that point, you
Gordon's
really
my
go
guy
try to
now.
move him.
Big Melvin guy.
Big Melvin guy.
Cortland Sutton only had one catch for 14 yards for Denver, and that includes the time once Jerry Jeudy went out. Like, I was so bummed when Jeudy went down because he was looking like the clear alpha. But
I will say with Judy down, I still think Sutton's a number 2. I would be most high on Fant.
yeah, no fan.
Yeah.
I think he.
It looked like
He
Teddy liked
benefits.
those big targets. And they had a third option who's another big target.
It's like Ogun Job. No, what was
Logan Wobu or something like
Yeah.
that.
and like
Something.
someone else-
Ogawambo
Yeah,
or-
like they had someone else. Where
Jake,
he
I
did
think
look
we're going to
good.
get to that Josh
so much for
Jacobs
my
and Kenyon
trade.
Drake. Yeah, we'll
Oh,
get to
okay.
it.
So I think we were talking about Jacobs, or we're going to talk about Jacobs pre-show.
Yes,
I'm a big
Tots.
Jacobs guy. I will say Jacobs had 2 touchdowns. The only concern was he definitely had something wrong with his toe or foot. He kept grabbing towards the end of the game. So Kenyon Drake is almost like a Kareem Hunt. So if I had Drake, I'd be happy. He's
Yeah.
someone, if you're low on running backs, definitely start him.
And for where you got him, and I'm looking at you, Porter, because I know you went with, Christian McCaffrey obviously was your first running back, and then I don't think you drafted an RB2 until you got to Drake.
In like the 9th or 10th round or something.
Which,
like that.
if he turns into anything even close to what Kareem Hunt is, especially after seeing him week 1, I think you're super happy
Yeah.
that you got him there.
I was low on Jacobs because I was low on the Raiders, which, like, God, they look pretty damn good Monday night.
Yeah.
But he scored 5 more points than Kenyon Drake did in this game. 17 to 12 PPR points with 2 touchdowns. And he still only had 5 more points. Because Kenyon Drake is like their third down pass catching back and was getting carries. The snap, and granted, like with the turf toe, like you said, could be real. The split was Jacobs had 45 snaps to Drake's 41. So I'm loving Kenyon Drake right now.
The thing is, I feel like, and maybe you can tell me a little bit better, because every time I think back to Kenyon Drake and the teams that he's been on, even back when he was on Arizona and the Dolphins, I've always thought my memory of him is just always getting beat out by whatever. And I wanted to think, at least this season, and why I wanted to stay away from him was the fact that the Raiders were going to see how not good of a running back he
I
is.
was
And
just going to bring that up. I had him on the Dolphins, and then I tried to get him when he went to the Cardinals, but it was the same thing. He starts off hot, and then he kind of simmers down.
Well, he
Who knows
started
with
bad
the
last
Raiders, but yeah.
He's not somebody that you want as your 3 down, like bell cow back, like Arizona tried to use him. When he was on the Dolphins, he was electric. And granted, that was when Adam Gase was their freaking coach.
Yeah.
So I don't trust him to evaluate good talent either.
I meant start out bad when he first, or start out hot when he first got traded to the Cardinals, and he looked like the biggest thing, and people were drafting him in like the 2nd round, and then he just became a
that
wash.
was one of the biggest busts I've seen in all of my seasons of
But then the
fantasy.
back half of the year, Drake was actually pretty good. So I actually like him in this role of being more of like a split end.
Big Drake guy.
Big Drake guy, because he got 12 points without scoring a touchdown.
And to your
Jacob
point,
scored 2.
what you mentioned on draft night was the fact that you have Christian McCaffrey. He accounts for an RB2 in and of himself.
I've said this a million times in pre-draft, but like, I'm scared of running backs. Number one, they get into car crashes every single game and are more likely to be injured. They also get paid less and are more likely to get beat out at their position or have their workload get cut into by other players than wide receivers are. And that's why I just, like, this year, I was like, if everybody's just obsessed with running backs as they are in our leagues, I'm going to zig while everyone else is zagging. And, like, dude, a guy even like Robert Woods, who like didn't have a big game, that dude's not gonna get his job taken away from him,
Right?
And like, yeah.
I get nervous putting that much draft equity into one player, especially if it's a running back, to the point where if it's not a sure, like a Christian McCaffrey type of thing with the number 1 pick, I'm just like, I'd rather be in the back at the turn, where I can split that risk over 2 players. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's just me.
Yeah.
But we got to monitor the toe, Because, like, other than that, like, Jacobs looked pretty damn good. Like, he's obviously a good runner.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to watch that. The last ones that I had for big overreaction was the Detroit Lions. TJ Hawkinson, DeAndre Swift, and Jamal Williams all had 25-plus points.
I will say the Lions were getting beat down at the
Yeah, they
beginning.
were.
But I was pumped for the Lions. They're like my new team, underdog team. I
Your
wanna
pet
root
project?
For, pet project. I liked how they showed fight. Hawkinson looked great the whole time.
Yeah, he
against dude. He's Fred Warner couldn't do anything. That whole Niners couldn't do anything.
No.
And then Swift looked good. Even Williams got in, looked good. So it definitely. And then they had their receivers who I didn't even know till I saw them. They had it was like
Cephas?
Yeah.
Cephas.
Quintez Cephas?
Quintez
Like, who the hell is Cephas? This guy's like
Yeah.
Julio Jones out there. He is looking good too. And
AD's a big Lions guy.
I just
with the Lions blue.
I wouldn't put too much stock in the receivers unless they kind of proved it. But if you're low on receivers, it could be something good to like monitor because who's the clear number one? It's TJ Hawkinson, but Goff looked good.
We talking wide receivers. I don't think we'd know that.
Yeah,
New
Just off of
album
this
wasn't
one
great, but you know, wrong Drake.
Yeah.
Some of those are fire though. I'm not the biggest Drake guy, but some of those are fire.
But Jake, I think to the point we were just making is that there's no other pass catchers on that team that have shown what TJ Hawkinson has shown. I mean, he's getting the targets. He's
They were
racking
scheming him open too.
Yeah, and
I
this
couldn't
goes back to
believe
last
it.
Season. It goes back to
I'll
last
just
season.
say it's still new. Teams are gonna adjust to the new coaching, so we'll see how that goes. But it looked a lot better than all the past Lion teams.
And Dan Campbell, like, yeah, he's a big dude that like talked about biting kneecaps, but like, that guy has been working for the New Orleans Saints for most of his career, and like they were running route concepts that were like using the receiver to clear the top so that Hawkinson can get open underneath. Like they actually look like they had a smart offensive game plan, and like.
And Goff looked good.
And Goff is not that bad.
And I don't know if it was just because he has so much familiarity going against the Niners. That could be definitely a point. So
Could be.
I'll definitely look at it the next couple weeks. But I would have liked to see Stafford out there too. But who knows? Maybe Goff is the man. And
On the
he's out.
Lions.
And yeah, and he's with the Dan Campbell out there, new coaching staff.
And Goff, we're not talking about just like for real life football. Like, yeah, you don't want Jared Goff as your starting quarterback. But like for fantasy football, I was super encouraged by the rookies that they're going to be able to actually provide some fantasy points. Goff looks like he can give up some points. And Tyrod Taylor, like, instead of having these offenses where, like, bro, I don't even want a single freaking player on their team, they at least look serviceable enough to where if you have some of these guys that you're not dead in the water.
Do you feel any different about choosing the Niners to win the division?
No, not because they were up 41 to like 17. They had a bad fumble and an onside kick that they got back. Like, no.
I feel like that the NFC West is going to come down to the divisional matchups and who wins out on those. Not so much what happens outside of the division.
That's how it's been, yeah. And it'll continue to be.
From week one overreaction, the team that looked the best was the freaking Arizona Cardinals. Like, watching that game back, their D-line
I was really surprised.
Unbelievable. Like, I was going into that game. We had watched it on Red Zone, but I was going in to watch the game thinking that Tannehill, like, held on to the ball too long. Or, like, but no. Taylor Lewan and all those dudes were getting absolutely ripped off the ball at the line of scrimmage.
I think it's mostly Lewan because Chandler Jones just, dude.
But Jones only had 3, like, he gave up 3 sacks to Chandler Jones specifically. Jones had 2 more, and then
5 to.
No, he had 3 specifically on Lewan, but then Chandler Jones was moving inside and to the other side. Yeah. They had Watt inside and on the
I will say we didn't go over one. I was hoping you would. Is panic on Julio Jones. He ended up costing his team when there was a slim chance for them to fight back, a huge penalty.
I was in like the second quarter.
Yeah, you saw Debo.
Yeah.
But yeah, Debo, Ayuk.
But we also saw Ayuk.
Gone.
Exactly. We didn't see Ayuk.
Yeah.
So
I don't think you can expect that all the time from Debo.
So,
Exactly.
panic, no. Are you starting Julio next week?
I think where you draft him, you probably have to. I was not in on Julio because I'm so big on A.J. Brown, and I went after him. But their chemistry looked off, and maybe that's because it was their first game, but also Julio was like banged up in the offseason this whole time and chilling on stationary bikes.
when is he not though?
I know.
I want to say a hot take for week 2 is I'm going to say Trey Flowers locks down Julio.
That is hot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
We'll
wouldn't
see.
bail on Julio, and for the same reason I said with other players, like it's still so early. Granted, you didn't draft him as early as some of those other guys that we talked about, especially the running backs that went in the first round. But it's Julio Jones. Like if you drafted him and hit, like you wouldn't be asking us these things. I would give him another week and see what happens.
For me, Julio's on my blacklist. I drafted him 2 years ago, trade for him last year, and the whole time I tell myself, "Oh, it's Julio," and it's not Julio.
No.
So I'm over Julio. That's just me though.
That's where it's funny, the 5th round, and I think this happened to OBJ, is where great wide receivers go to die. So
Once
the
they've
5th,
fallen from the top.
Don't say that about
Exactly.
OBJ. He didn't play week 1. I started him in one of my leagues accidentally.
but I'm saying, did you get him in the 5th round or not?
I did.
Exactly.
As a huge value, huge ceiling.
I think you got him in the 6th, didn't you?
6th. Yeah, I got him
Yeah.
kind of late, but and not many people were high on OBJ.
That's what they say about all those guys, though. It's like, oh, in the 5th round, 6th round, he's a value.
For me, I think at least OBJ, I think he's still the number 1.
Well, and he's not as old as Julio.
He's not.
No.
And
And
so-
Julio has specifically had a lot of soft tissue injuries, which tend to linger and
Ankles.
come back.
Yeah.
And he's just, week 1, he's trying to get chemistry with a new quarterback. Whereas before, he could be out a week, but he had been playing with Matt Ryan forever, and they didn't really need to practice.
They're gonna take Julio out back in the Tennessee fields, and they're gonna.
Mike, dude, Vrabel calling
With the
him
couch, he
out
called him
was
out.
damn.
I like that because it sent a message to the team. He's just like, hey, it doesn't matter if it's Julio or not. You fuck up, you fuck up.
He was
Calling you out.
literally fist fighting that corner. Like he was that idiot
Yeah.
dude throwing punches at a guy's
And
helmet.
as a
Like,
vet, it's like, dude, I like the Hawks' chance against the Titans next week.
after this last game, how it looked,
Yeah.
I would be taking the Hawks for sure.
But I guess it'll be interesting to see if we're able to get to Ryan Tannehill,
Yeah,
as well as the Cardinals were able to. I'm not
Yeah.
sure that would be the case. But
I think the Colts O-line was better than the Titans. So, I mean, Lawan's coming back from a torn ACL, and obviously he looks like he missed a step. So
he called himself out pretty badly.
he's gonna call himself out next week too.
I hope so, dude. I hope so too. But all right, we already kind of skipped past this, but like I think Swift and Williams benefited from what you talked about the Lions having no name receivers, and then them being down in games. Both running backs are going to see a lot of dump offs. So in PPR, I would be hyped to have those guys.
I will say my only other guy I had was, I guess the Washington football team in general, as the Fitz tragic injury. Are you looking to shop Scary Terry? Are you gonna start him? I mean, for me, I'm hitting almost the panic mode on Scary Terry.
I honestly think I'm with you.
Yeah, I am too. And I think I was talking to Jaime about this today even. With Heineken throwing him the
Heineken,
ball,
yeah.
I wouldn't have. I was already kind of, out on him to begin with Fitzpatrick. Granted, that could have come back to bite me in the ass, but now with him out, and who knows when or if he'll even
You got
come
let
back.
off the hook.
I will say I am higher on Logan
Logan
Thomas,
Thomas,
who I have in one of my leagues.
I agree. Does this maybe make you guys think of J.D. McKissick possibly, getting a little bit, showing a little bit more relevance now that
No.
we have Heineke back there?
No, because Heineke scrambles. Like, he's
That is
kind of a
true.
loose cannon. Whereas, like, Alex Smith, like, he could run in his prime, but, like,
Heineke
last
would go
year
and
he was
get
dumping it
concussed.
off for his life.
Yeah,
Like, Heineke, I think he actually would hurt the dump-off game for McKissick.
And then, who is your bold predictions going to take Josh Gordon first?
I think he's on this the chat right now. Show yourself.
No, but and part of also why I'm scared for Scary Terry, even though I had him pretty damn high this year, is that Antonio Gibson looks like the complete focal point of the offense. He didn't pop off in this game, but like he was out there on some third downs, which we were worried about. And then on first and second downs, they were giving him targets and like yeah,
I
it
would
looks
have
like
loved to
he's
see
the
how
gang.
Scary Terry would have done with someone like Russell Wilson.
Yeah, he's just so damn good.
I don't think anybody denies how talented he is.
Yeah.
I just think that, and my thing is like, it's one of those scenarios where who else is on that team other than Logan Thomas that that is a competent
Is
pass
he
catcher?
the next?
Cam Sims
I was gonna
Exactly.
say, is he the next Allen Robinson?
could be. Dude.
He might be.
He's on that trajectory
Yeah,
right now.
yeah.
And the football team is too good to like tank for a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think that's a shame. I feel
Yeah.
like if that's the way his career turns out,
Hopefully-
it would be
I mean,
a shame.
that would be.
Hopefully Heineken's the man. We'll see this year.
He might be Heineken Light or non-alcoholic.
Yeah.
All right. Is there any other guys on here?
If
I went over all my guys.
if there isn't, I would like to maybe get into the waiver wire and
Yeah.
see what some of these guys could be going for, or what guys you guys are even looking at.
No, I'm not gonna
I-
make you guys put a specific number on anything, just because competition first. But
We can. I mean, you guys did last week,
yeah,
and I'm not one to I'm not. I'm a guest here. It doesn't mean I'm not
I
gonna.
have some leagues where I'm in some critical moments to grab my guy.
all right,
Elijah
okay. The
looking
big
at.
name is Elijah Mitchell. Let's just get out of
Let's-
the way. All right. You say, are you short on running backs right now in this league that you're talking about?
That I've seen Elijah Mitchell. I don't know if he's been part of the FAB system or not, but if I was short on a running back and I didn't have Trey Sermon, then I'd be gunning for Elijah Mitchell. But I'd also have in the back of my mind it could be temporary.
Yeah, TJ. Unless Kyle already has.
Unless
it.
Kyle already
Actually,
has
though.
I'd be gunning for him, but I would have in the back of my mind this could be temporary, a couple weeks. But at the same time, those couple wins, those could serve you real well down the line.
I paid like 25 for Mike Davis last year, and I did not regret a single second of it.
Yeah.
But
You also were able to trade him away to me,
yeah,
of all people.
yeah,
And
we've
then
done a
I
lot of
traded
trading
him. Yeah,
together.
we have, and I'm glad we have.
Yes.
You guys might have to
69.
work out a trade
We
because you guys know what he's trading.
Yeah, I think that he's gonna go either. I think he's gonna go really high because out of all the 12 guys in the league, I think. Wait, did Tal get him in this league in SippinOnYac?
So
Yeah. Yes.
It
There's
is
one
SippinOnYac.
league. There's one league out there. I'm not going to show you which one it is, where he is out there. But in SippinOnYac, yeah, he got taken by Kyle.
Okay. Well, aside from that, I mean,
What, babe?
The league.
Oh,
I think
in Mitchell League. He's still available in Mitchell.
we would have found out. I mean, I
Yeah.
was gonna go in there and check, but I think just for the sake of the people watching, how much would you guys be willing to spend on him? Because we're all in multiple leagues and we might be facing that same decision.
If I was already stacked at running back, I'm throwing in just a bid just to see if I can snag him. And if I'm desperate, I'm probably going to be spending a little more.
A little more,
which
like
is
north of 20.
Potentially, yes.
We talking 40%?
Because these week ones are going to be huge. This is when people are going to overpay. And if you see the guy right now where you think Mitchell is the dude, he looked really good. Or it could be week 2, week 3, week 4 down the road where those top running backs might go down. There's likely one goes down. And then it's like, well, did I spend all my money on Mitchell when I could get this other guy, like Williams for the Lions or something?
Tony Pollard.
Tony Pollard, like Zeke goes down.
I already have Tony Pollard.
I'd expect those guys to kind of already be on rosters. And that's part of the reason why some of these guys are worth going for, because I don't think you'll get another opportunity. You might get, I think these types of players come around in a season about 2 to 3 times to where you actually can, go after him. Nobody has him. Use the fab that you need to in order to get him.
So what's the hot prediction for what somebody's going to drop? What Mitchell's going to go for?
He's going to go for over 20 for sure.
I think he's going to go over 30, 40.
Dang.
Yeah.
Because to put it in perspective, yes,
We're
the
gonna make
49ers
somebody pay like $95 for them.
Are we inflating the
Yeah,
value
we're
right now?
inflating
That's
that
price right now.
The 49ers do use a committee, and it's hard because all of a sudden maybe Sermon comes back. But regardless, Mitchell's definitely going to be on the field for at least the start.
Are we all on the same page that at least us 3 think that Sermon will come back?
Yeah.
Because I do.
Yes. They
I
drafted him
certainly
in the 3rd round. Like, he was a beast at Ohio State. Like, yeah, he's going to be in there for sure.
The only thing that makes me worried is the fact that did he really lose out? Or was this a locker room thing where you're coming in late?
It could be a locker room.
But you're really worth it.
I mean, it's one of those, if you got Sermon, hold on to him. But I could also see him being one of the league's biggest busts.
Yeah, he could be. But the saving grace is that the 49ers probably have the most run-happy team combined with one of the best run schemes in the NFL. So even if he's not a horse, you can still get points out of him.
But also combined, but it's just a matter of what you're going to have to pay to get him. Because they also have, it's also a combination of Kyle Shanahan and how he gives no fucks.
No, he does not.
He does not. Like, his system is, at least in his head, and it is that good to where you can stick me out there and I do all right.
For me, it's like, when's the last time Niners had a bell cow? Carlos Hyde.
Yeah, but that was a
Before
completely
Shanahan.
different system.
For me, it's like Shanahan likes the speedy, big play. You can get to the outside and just go.
Which Sermon really is not. He actually does not have the speed that somebody like even Mitchell has.
Mitchell is faster.
Yeah.
But he's also brings that dynamic where he could be used, where they could fake the sweep or they could have the dual backs. I don't know. Who knows with Shanahan?
He reminds me of when Darrell Henderson was on the waiver wire last year. It looked like Henderson, you were going to be getting a dog, but Sean McVay is an asshole. And it turned out to be him. He had a big game, and then it was Malcolm Brown. And then later in the year, Akers came on, who could end up being like the Trey Sermon role, where he sits on the bench, and then Trey Sermon then because the Rams, Niners, and Patriots are the hardest teams to trust when it comes to running backs.
So, would you take a bid at all on Hasty?
I would, yeah. If you can get him for borderline free, yeah, I would.
I would not.
See,
I might put a dollar or two bid on him. But a lot of the times is that, especially this early on in the season, it's like it's not only the fab that you're paying to get these players, is who you're dropping. Yeah, and granted, if you have guys that you drafted to where it's like you found out on that week 1 whether you should keep him or not, then great, because now you free up a roster spot. But if you drafted guys to where it's like, I gotta see it 1 more week, 2 more weeks, and then I'd be okay with dropping him.
I've got David Montgomery. Or not David Montgomery. David
Yeah,
Johnson.
go ahead and drop him.
Yeah, bruh, I would drop David Johnson. I wouldn't give a shit about dropping David
see,
Johnson.
I don't
but
know that I
For
would do
me, it's like how I look at the Niners is I think another running back's going to get hurt.
that. Yeah.
Nostradamus
Just
over here.
There's at least one or two backs that go down every year for them.
Okay, how much would you pay if Raheem Mostert was on the wire? Like if he was healthy, if he didn't get hurt.
That's a bench spot you're not touching for 8 weeks.
No, I mean if he did not get hurt.
I'd
He wouldn't be
Blow
on the
my
wire.
load.
That's too crazy.
Okay, so then Mitchell, you wouldn't though. I know
would
he's
not.
not Raheem Mostert, but if he steps into Mostert's role,
yeah, but we've seen Raheem Mostert, we've seen Shanahan put the
seen his ass
confidence.
get hurt.
Yeah, put the confidence. Well, we're not out here trying to predict injuries, and
except for Adrian.
Well, Adrian, and I'd be lying if I said that I didn't think that he went at a certain point in the draft based on the fact that he gets hurt. I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like there was a risk there, and
And he's
everybody
30
knew
years
it.
old. Like, yeah.
Are there any other running backs on the wire right now?
I'd look
on
at
your
Kenny
wires?
Gainwell.
I would look at Kenneth Gainwell over Mitchell based on how much less I'd have to pay to get him.
Boston Scott didn't play a single snap.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know of anybody else.
Look
like-
at Adrian. I know he's buying some of these guys.
Scheming.
Look at-
God,
he's
you're a
scheming.
schemer.
You're here for the people, Adrian. Let me remind you.
Gainwell was getting plays drawn up for
Talk about
him
it next Tuesday.
in the red zone and got a TD. He also was used a lot in the passing game, similar to the Lions. They were throwing to their backs quite a bit, both of them. Yeah,
And
you
it
got a
wasn't-
look on your face, dude. You are scheming
He's
so
scheming.
hard right
He's
now.
scheming.
We'll just see tomorrow morning what happens when the waiver wire processes.
All right.
And then one other guy, just in terms of running backs, that I was kind of interested in hearing what you guys had to think. Ingram. That's who
Okay.
I was. That's who I was gonna talk about. He had, I think, one of the highest carry totals out of any running back. His share of the carries was one of the highest in the league. Are you guys buying in?
No.
And then if that's no,
No, because they're the Houston Texans, and yeah, they scored
played
37 on Jacksonville,
Right.
but no. And he played, yeah, he got a lot of carries, but 36 snaps to David Johnson's 22, to Lindsey's 20, to Rex Burkhead's 10.
I forgot a fucking Burkhead.
Bro, like, they could easily, Ingram have this many carries on a horrible team, and then next week, it could be Philip Lindsay getting that many carries. And when are you really going to be in a situation where you're like, dude, I'm going to put in a running back from the Houston Texans committee? I just can't do that.
I think bye weeks you're gonna be looking at that decision, and
I
you
will
know he's
say-
gonna Philip Lindsay or marking or whoever it is out of one of those guys is gonna be tossed around on people's rosters, end up on the waiver wire one week, and you're gonna be looking at your buys, and you're gonna be wondering, you know, if you're gonna dance with the ugly one.
You almost convinced me.
Ride the league's bike.
Exactly.
I
You're
already
gonna
have
want-
David Johnson on my team, and I want to puke. So
I mean, he had the second highest carries on
He
the
was
week,
once
behind
a-
only Mixon.
But in PPR, through statistics, in terms of actual points projected,
Oh,
one
don't throw out the
target
projections.
is worth 2.5 carries. And when you're getting all these carries on the potentially the worst team in the NFL, I'm out.
Right now, I'm going to say the Jacksonville Jags are the worst team.
Then I would not be defended James Robinson over
So,
there.
would
Yeah.
you have Ingram or any of the Houston running backs over Robinson?
No, I think that's pretty clear.
No, Williams is also not horrible. He actually looked pretty damn good. What is the cat doing? We're almost out of here.
Cat.
Jesus, cat.
Cat 2, box 0.
God, we could have done better for Mikey's debut with our production over here.
Well, hopefully you guys will have me back.
Absolutely, he'll be
We will
back.
get the Cats then.
Damian
He
Williams
should.
for sure is a shoot your shot on a guy too.
Yeah, I think he is. He's one of those guys where I'm not going to count on him unless something happens to David Montgomery.
Yeah, he's definitely somebody where don't want to wish any injuries, but if something happened to Montgomery, he's someone that could fill that role and probably do really good.
He did look pretty damn good too
Uh,
against the Rams.
One other guy, just as a kind of a shot in the dark, as someone, just purely for handcuff value, Larry Roundtree.
Mm-hmm.
I think you could do a lot worse.
He looked pretty explosive.
And I feel like he's what they would kind of want or need around in the red zone or, on the goal line.
They've given Justin Jackson a lot of times, and he keeps getting beat out. By
I just
dudes.
remember he was on the bubble a lot,
Mhm.
especially this preseason. Like they weren't sure, or
I
there was
think-
talks about him not making the team.
Week 2, week 3 is when the biggest trades are going to happen. Just because people are going to have like more of a feel for their team. Who do I really need? I need to make the panic, kind of thing. Or I want to make my team even better.
Mhm.
So I think that's when we start, those who missed out on the waiver wire, they're going to start making big deals.
Mm-hmm.
The wide receivers that you're looking at are Sterling Shepard, who blew up week 1. I still would not, blow your wad on Sterling Shepard. But if you are a running back heavy team and need wide receivers, you can do worse, and he can be a pretty safe option to just throw in your lineup if you really need somebody.
I agree.
Yeah, I think Shepard, he seems like he solidified himself as the dude
Yeah.
for the Giants.
And what was I saying, Adrian?
Would I touch him? No.
No,
But
and
you
I
dropped him, though.
I didn't drop him.
Oh, you didn't?
No,
He's
no,
dropped
no.
in a bunch of leagues.
No,
though.
no,
the
no.
other guy was Emmanuel Sanders. I was nervous about Sanders to see if Gabriel Davis was going to be on the field more than him, but he was not. Sanders was getting targets with, Beasley and Diggs, obviously.
And
And
Just-
is he vaccinated?
Bro, we'll never know.
oh, let's not open that can of worms.
Tight ends, though, people are scraping the bottom of the barrel for tight ends. I don't want to say that I tried to tell you guys about Juwan Johnson, but converted wide receiver that's huge in the red zone. You could probably do worse than taking a shot at him at tight end.
I have Tanyan in one of my leagues, and I'm not panicking with them because I saw what Rodgers could do with them. I'm throwing it as a wash. But I also have Gronk, and some of those leagues are pits, and I'm definitely starting them over Tanyan. But
you
I
should.
think Tanyan will bounce back. He'll have some big games.
I agree as well.
Yeah.
I wouldn't expect Tanya to hit any waiver wires this week. I feel like we're in decently competitive leagues, to where people are not tossing them that quickly. As far as the guys that are out there right now, Jared Cook,
Yeah.
I feel like you can do worse.
I played with Cook last year.
There
Damn,
you go.
yeah,
There you
TJ.
go.
He's definitely somebody I would play like a week or two, drop him, swap him out kind of thing on matchups. But he's someone, if you don't have anybody at tight end really, if you want like 4 or 5 points.
I was surprised that Parham didn't really get on the field that much, except for in the red zone. And then Cook came from the Saints with Joe Lombardi, the Chargers offensive coordinator. So he obviously knows the system. So Cook was on the field more than I thought he was going to be. You could do worse there. Honestly, Robert Tonyan, if he was my tight end, that's kind of the cutoff point to me where I would be rostering a second tight end.
And I
just
am.
me. Yeah.
And I am where I do own him. I do have a second tight end. SippinOnYac League, where I have Tyler Higbee. Granted,
Bro,
Tyler-
hold on. Higbee, though, looked damn good. He
Yeah.
was used in the screen game. He never really came off the field. I would be hyped with Higbee.
and I didn't start him. I started Tanyan. It would have won me my matchup this week. And now, I wasn't expecting to run into those decisions this early on, but here we are. Cole Kmet, I feel like I'm kind of surprised that he's on waiver wires. I feel like he would have been a sleeper kind
Dude.
of pick.
Hold up, hold up.
What?
Who are you texting? He's scheming so hard right now.
He's
already scheming up a trade.
Yeah.
You know, the league never stops. It's never on pause.
He's making trades on the top.
I will
On the
say,
pod.
I
You
did
dog.
make some big trades this week,
Yeah.
especially in the Cebu League.
Already.
I traded Chad. I mean, I gave him, he had Mostert, but it was a good deal for him and myself. I gave him Nick Chubb and Thielen for A.J. Brown and Justin Jefferson. And I have Woods as my third wide receiver.
And you gave away Nick Chubb.
And I have Mike Davis and Najee.
Yeah, see, those you just gave up one of my first two picks, Chubb, and I have Chubb and Najee in this league, and I don't know that I would have done that. But I mean, it's close enough to where I'm not saying like, oh, this is it was terrible.
I'm high on A.J. Brown and Justin Jefferson, so I think they'll do great.
Yeah.
I'm
on your side of it, but I'm also the wide receiver guy.
while I'm on here, and this is completely just super a long shot. James O'Shaughnessy. That's
Not with a 10-foot pole.
Not with a 10-foot pole. That's fair. I don't
No.
blame you at all.
He has
but,
no athletic ability, and they did get a touchdown thrown to a tight end in
it was
Jacksonville.
not him.
It was Nick Mangold.
Right. They're gonna be behind a lot. He saw 8 targets this week, and
That's like Dalton Schultz. Are you going to put Dalton Schultz in your lineup?
in a deep league where you drafted
You're
a late
generous,
tight end,
dog.
I just felt like I could be terribly wrong on that one, but just remember that name.
Yeah. In all my leagues, I tried to get, in my rankings, top 6 tight ends in all my leagues. Well, in 3 leagues, and I managed to do it.
Yeah.
But
Hey, to be fair, I think that in future drafts, I might. I've always been a late tight end kind of a guy, and I don't think I've sucked as bad at tight end as I have this year. But I think I definitely learned
the
my
world
lesson.
is changing.
The world is changing.
Darren
Fantasy's
Waller's
long.
getting 19 targets in a game.
Yeah,
oh
I
my
know.
God.
That might be his highest target total on the season.
And yet only had 10 catches.
I mean, that's unheard of.
Yeah.
As a Waller guy, I mean, granted, they went to OT, and he didn't get a target there. But
Yeah. That was 19 in regulation.
as a Waller guy, Carr loves him.
Yeah, he does. And John Gruden today said that, and I think coach speak is complete bullshit, and I don't listen to it. But John Gruden said that Waller is the greatest single player he's ever coached. I mean, that's from John Gruden.
Wow.
But
He's so athletic. I mean, they started doubling him up in OT because he's that big of a factor.
yeah.
I can only imagine if they still had Cooper out there.
They
that
would be
offense
pretty
would
nasty.
scary.
Yeah.
Henry Ruggs sucks. God.
He had some
he's-
big catches.
He had one catch.
I'm not willing to buy in.
And then,
I don't believe it.
I mean,
He's
I'm not,
not
sold on
physical
Ruggs,
enough.
But they also had, what's his face?
Brian Edwards, showed
Edwards.
up in the fourth and overtime.
In the fourth, yeah. But it was, dude, that was a perfect Monday night game to open it up.
Yeah.
But, all right. That was a big recap of week 1. I don't know how we're going to be able to prepare for week 2. I got to figure shit out with everybody and see if we could try to squeeze in another game per week because there's just too much shit to talk about. And I love talking about football. So.
And, yeah, I think another night in the week, I mean, obviously, if we get a producer and she's down.
I have no choice.
Yeah, I would be down. As
Yeah.
a listener, as a guest host, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
I'm just excited to see what week 2 holds for us because I think that's going to be week 1. I kind of put as a wash, and same with week 2, but you do get a better grasp.
Yeah.
And I will say it's different because, I mean, Hawks started, 4-5-0 last year, and look what happened. So I'm trying to remind myself, don't get too hot on it, but it is nice seeing your guys perform well early.
Yeah, like when you score 171 points in week 1. But all right, thank you everybody for coming in. Chat live as always. TJ, you're the man. Jake, you're the man. Like Danny, also you've been so consistent coming in. Like thank you guys so much. Doses.
Peace.